Lawmaker who has been pushing for ethics reform for a number of years now. He is Democratic State Senator Dan Squadron. Senator, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Daniel Squadron, I should say, so your mother doesn't get upset, right? I'm sorry, forgive me.
Look at that.
Forgive me.
I'm really growing up, Liz. Huh?
For shortchanging you, I'm so sorry. Okay. Anyway, seriously, though, the ethics reform bill is now law, thanks to Governor Andrew Cuomo. He signed it today. I feel like saying, Mazel Tov, congratulations. You've been pushing for years, and your immediate reaction is that this is a good thing, I would assume.
It absolutely is. It's a very good day, and the governor deserves a lot of credit for pushing this over the hill. As you know, in the last term, we started to get there. We didn't quite. And with this governor, he said he was going to get it done, and he has. And it's a big step forward. You know, the key now is that, you know, this is an issue that we need to continue to monitor.
Right.
We need to make sure that the new system works. And like anything new, it's going to need tweaks over time. And so the key is this is a huge step forward and a very exciting day, but also very important to continue to look at it and make sure that it works the way we all want it to.
See, that's the key, right? Because what we don't know at this point is JCOPE, as it's going to be known, this new 14-member watchdog entity, who's going to sit on it, and this question of how, if at all, it manages to get to a point where it could actually investigate anyone is still kind of a problem. Do you envision that there could be tweaks that would change that? It seems like it was hard enough to get to where we are now.
Well, look, I don't think anyone's running to tweak it today or tomorrow or next month.
Right.
The idea is to monitor it, and I think JCOPE needs to know that we all will be looking, and we hope they will operate in a serious way, and we believe the structures in place that would allow them to. And you know, this is going to be something that we look at over a year and 2 years and 3 years. But we're going to keep looking. And the one thing we know is that we have a greater deal of independence than we ever have when it comes to investigations. We're going to have more disclosure than we ever have when it comes to outside income. And those two things alone are a very big deal and make me very optimistic. But it's not at the signing of a bill that you start to see change. I think we've seen this again and again. It's as what the thing that bill creates becomes reality, and you know, that's never a sure thing. And so that's what we're going to keep looking at.
Do you have any feeling about who you would like to see? Not necessarily names, but what kind of people you would like to see? What areas? Do you think that there should be significant diversity? Should they be all people from a sector where there's experience with ethics monitoring or the law regarding ethics, or should it be people from all walks of life?
Well, look, I think that expertise is important, and expertise in a couple of different ways. Expertise in government, expertise in the law, and you know, experience using judgment and judiciousness when it comes to investigations, when it comes to enforcing the law, some sort of law enforcement background. You know, I don't have any appointments on the board. I don't think that it would have become a very big board if I was going to start getting appointments. It would have been pretty far down. And so I'm going to look to the governor's appointments and the leaders of each house. And I'm hopeful that what they will do is appoint people who, as I say, have some background, that they bring something to the table. I would hope it's not all lawyers or all law enforcement people or all government folks. I would hope that it's a nice combination of those, and hopefully with multiple appointing authorities, that's what we'll get.
Now, what's interesting is we didn't expect the signing of this ethics legislation today. We've been sort of waiting for it because it was a signature item on the governor's post-budget agenda. It was a big deal for him. And you spoke just interestingly about how at the stroke of the pen is not necessarily when change is made. There's probably one exception, and that is the same-sex marriage bill, right? When that got signed into law, 30 days later, people's lives changed dramatically, and now there's the what next question, and you are trying to address that with an event that's being held tomorrow.
Same-sex marriage was a unique and humbling sort of bill in that way, in that it almost immediately, within a month, really reached into people's homes and lives and families and improved them and changed the picture for equality in a significant and dramatic way, something else for which the governor, frankly, deserves a great deal of credit. New York has now done what we can to push forward equality, and that's very important. But folks who are recently married in the last couple of weeks, who are considering getting married, who are maybe thinking about considering getting married, maybe they don't even want to talk about it with their partner yet, do need to know that there are additional complications if you're a same-sex married couple as opposed to an opposite-sex married couple. And that's because under federal law, there are still some limitations. There are still a number of states that don't and aren't forced to recognize marriage equality. And frankly, even in New York, it's wonderful that we have it, but there are some limitations folks need to know about.
Can you give us, I know that I don't want you to sort of step on your own event, which is unfortunately having downstate, so upstate folks are not going to be able to take advantage of that, and hopefully you or someone else might replicate it, because it seems like I had no idea that all of this stuff, I mean, the list of things that are quite pertinent, Social Security benefits, health insurance, state tax returns, all of these things are involved if you're now married as a same-sex couple. Most pertinent seems to me to be interstate travel and relocation and also adoption. I mean, those sort of things are significant because don't states have a patchwork across the nation of what's legal and what isn't?
They do, and there's everything from civil unions to, I believe it's Maryland, that recognize marriages in other states, to states that don't recognize it, and sort of the full faith and credit clause, which is that the way that our driver's licenses work from state to state, traditionally and historically has applied to marriage as well. Unfortunately, under federal law currently, they don't, and that leads to a lot of complications. Immigration status as well is another one that comes up. Not so much state tax returns, but federal ones. And as you know, many of us do our federal returns and then our state returns based on that. So it is complicated. The event is tomorrow. Excuse me for the plug, but the event is tomorrow
Please,
at Burr Manhattan Community College in Lower Manhattan at 6:30. And folks should come down. We should try to get it up there on the web live streamed. I'm not sure we're going to be able to, but we'll try, and if we do, we'll be sure to let you know so that upstate people can watch as well, even if they're not able to participate. Yeah, and we will publicize that. So if we get that link and information in terms of live streaming, we'll tweet it, and we'll also, and I'm sure you will too, and we'll also put it onto our blog. State of Politics, speaking of plugs, there you go. You will have Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. She's been fighting quite hard for the repeal of the Defense of Marriage Act. I mean, that has implications that you guys just couldn't touch. That's exactly right, and we've talked about some of them tonight. You've listed some of them. Senator Gillibrand and Congressman Nadler are pushing for legislation that would restore the full faith and credit that I spoke about before when it comes to marriage, would ensure that the federal government, for issues like Social Security and other issues that aren't state, recognize marriage that is recognized by the states. There's another part of this as well, which is, and the governor talked about this, marriage equality in New York, because we're such a big state, because of our history, is in and of itself very important. It's very important for the people who've already taken advantage of it. Hopefully, though, it also is the catalyst for true equality across the nation, both in other states and at the federal level. And so, this is it is truly something to celebrate. But hopefully the other message tomorrow is there is more to do, and New York has taken this big step now behind the leadership of Senator Gillibrand, Congressman Nadler, our other representatives in Washington. Let's make sure that this step can be fully realized.
Now, I just want to ask you a political question. The governor has made it clear that those 4 Republicans who crossed over and voted yes, which enabled this bill to pass because the Democrats didn't have enough votes to do it on their own, even if Ruben Diaz had decided he wanted to come along, which of course never would have happened, but he has said that he would, if not campaign outright for them, then at least say nice things about them. And there's been sort of this love fest going on between the Senate Republicans and the governor. You, of course, and your colleagues want to take back the Senate chamber next year. I just wonder if this whole sort of love situation that's going on between your adversaries on the other side and the governor, who is, of course, a Democrat like you are, bothers you at all.
Well, look, 29 of 30 Democrats in the state Senate voted for this, including some who themselves had to come along this year, and that was a significant thing, and John Sampson deserves a lot of credit for that part of it as well. I think everyone who voted the right way, in my view, voted for equality and for civil rights, deserves credit for doing so. I know that it was a hard vote for a lot of folks, and I also know that the governor has said, there's a time for governing and a time for campaigning, and around this time next year, we're going to be really starting to focus on a Democratic state Senate and how important that is, and at that point, we'll start to focus on the political question. Okay, well, I'm sure we'll have you back at that point. I just want to ask before I let you go, have you attended any same-sex marriages yet? I have not. I guess the invitations were lost in the mail, but I am. I'm looking forward to. One thing is I've promised my friends not to put too much pressure on them. The fact that I thought it was important to vote for marriage equality does not mean that they should have additional pressure in their own individual relationships. They'll get there on their own.
That's very big of you, Senator Squadron. I appreciate it. Thanks very much. As somebody who's not married, I very much appreciate it. And thanks for your time.
You know, everyone has grandparents. They don't need it.
Oh, be well.
Thanks.